Now what I'm not happy with is the face. And to be fair to Zremesher, I would have needed to have both more polygons, more polygon density in here with use poly paint, as well as maybe putting in some curves to kind of tell it what to do. But because I want to be so specific in those areas, I'm actually okay with just kind of going, you know what, let's go ahead and Control Shift, lasso, and all of this stuff in here I'm going to replace with my own. Invert that. Go ahead and delete hidden. Now I can do an auto groups, which for you will be, oh, so delete hidden was under geometry, modify topology, delete hidden. Geometry, and this is the reason why I use my custom menu, because I don't have to dig in here, as well as polygroups, auto groups. And now I can just Control Shift tap the purple, do another delete hidden, and now I've gotten rid of the entire face. So any geometry I don't like this chest geometry is really weird, I can delete. Now I can also go into Z Modeler, so I'm going to hover over a face and grab my Z Modeler brush and change it from Q Mesh to delete a single poly. I can just go through here and make sure you don't roll over an edge. And if you're getting in areas where it wants to do an edge operation, just go into edge and click do nothing, go into point and click do nothing, and that's just by hovering over a point, hitting spacebar and hitting do nothing, edge, spacebar, do nothing, and now it'll only do face operations. So if it's kind of fighting you, that's one of your options. So I'm just going to go through here and delete this. And all this geometry I can just redraw a little bit nicer. So any problem areas that you know you want to be really specific and you want to redraw are fine. Things like hands and feet, the feet are actually pretty good, and the hands aren't bad. So if you want to just go in and clean this up in Maya later, you can, or if you want to delete them and just use ZModeler, that's fine, but honestly, that's not too bad, minus a few extra edge loops for animation purposes. That's fine. Now, if you did want to do a little bit more cleanup, like hover over an edge and change that to Insert Single Edge Loop, and then if you hold down Alt, it'll actually go through and you can just kind of, get rid of any extraneous if you got extra, or you can also do hover over an edge and do a collapse edge, or poly loop in this case, and just collapse entire poly loops, just to kind of make your geometry a little bit less dense. But you know what? This will work so far. Everything else is fine, I think. So what I'm going to do, and if you want to actually make it even lower, you can take this one and do a Z-remesher and just run like a half on this one. It's even lower res. Now it starts chewing up your fingers a little bit, but if you're going to remodel those anyways, it's kind of up to you. So if I want to run with this mesh, sure, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and go back to my original high poly, go to append this thing, and just kind of see where some problem areas are going to end up. So I'm going to go ahead and select it, and it's like, okay, this horn back here wasn't even close. It just kind of lost it when I did a Z-remesh. So, and that's my fault more than its fault. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete these polys here, because I know I'm going to have to kind of redraw that. But this is still going to save me a ton of time because most of it's already done. So how do I get this into a Z-sphere? So since I've put this in here, I'm going to have to clone it back out, because when I go to my Z-sphere and go to select the geo, it's going to want it up in this area, not as a subtool. So one thing I'm going to do is actually go back to this Z-remesh right here and just go down and delete so I don't get confused. Then go back into my subtool. I have this one selected. This is my topology I want to put into a Z-sphere. And I'm going to go ahead and go all the way to the top and hit clone. So that put this new one out there. Then I'm going to append a Z-sphere. I don't need this one anymore, so I'm going to delete it. And now I've got a Z-sphere. So let's go ahead and, just like we were doing in the demo, the earlier demo, go across X symmetry, hit E to scale it down, hit W to kind of bury it in the middle of his body out of the way, and then with the Z-sphere selected, go down here to topology and go to, instead of edit topology, I'm going to select topology, grab that topology. And just a little pro tip, you're going to want to control drag and control shift tap. That will ensure that all your points are visible and there's no masked points. It's sometimes, not often, but occasionally it'll mask some stuff that you don't want masked. So then go into edit topology, and now you're in edit topology mode. And now you can just treat this like a regular mesh. Now I'm going to turn transparency off, go to matte cap pearl, medium gray, all stuff we've already talked about. And then I'm in draw mode, so now I can hold down Alt and just get rid of some of these points around here. Kind of back those off. And, the nose geometry isn't as high as I want because I want him to like sniffle his little nose around. So I'm just going to kind of delete, holding down Alt, and then move these back into place here. And again, these areas aren't that important, but if I want to put a horn on here, I'm going to kind of make kind of a circle around this area. And then I go into Q mode. I'm just going to go up here and start drawing very specific ring around this area here for the horn, for example. And then here's another one I just tapped off to reset where I was drawing. And we'll do another ring here. We'll start connecting, and I'm going to drop that gray down just a bit. There we go. That's even better. So now I can really see that orange will really pop. And again, if you accidentally do something, just undo it, and then go back in here. And honestly, before I brought this in, I should have done a project all just to get ensure that the low res geometry is snapped to my high res, which is something I'll do in Maya during cleanup anyways. But that is probably the safest thing you can do. Now in this case, I can get a really long thin try in here, which I really don't like. So I can connect this middle to that one, pull this down, tap this one, and then hold down Alt, and now I can kind of get a quad in there as opposed to a really long thin try, which I really didn't want. But it is just a matter of going in here and connecting these things out. If I have another big lump right here and I want to capture that in my game res, I'm going to kind of go ahead and frame it a little bit. So I'm going to put a little bit of extra geo in here, and I'm just going to frame the base like so. Now let's go attach this and move this down a little bit, and go ahead and attach these pieces here. Looks like I need a little bit more geo from here to here, so just add a point and then connect these 2 points. And then to get this lump in here, I'm going to go up, over, down, and then I can just go through and just tap and connect these pieces here like so. So now when I back this thing off and hit A, you'll see, oops, and also under your adaptive skin you're going to want to change the density down to 1. You're going to see now instead of a big deleted edge, I have perfect ring around that horn. I have this one going, the little lump is built in. I can hit A to go out of that mode, and I can just finish the horn off really quickly. And since I need a circle on the top of here, I'm just going to go here, 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 and here. And really, you're just, when you're game resing, you're just trying to capture the silhouette of the object. And we're just going to go down, and then back up, and then down, and then down again. And you're going to see this one doesn't really have a place to go to. Now, if you get trapped in here, and let's say the only thing visible on our screen is more places to click, and even if I hold down Alt and try and zoom out, I can't. You can hold down Alt and then let go of Alt if you have a middle mouse assigned to your pin, which I do. I can actually just pull out like this way, or you can go over here to scale and move that out. Or if you have a little bit of gray showing around your object, you should be able to go to that safe action. These safe actions won't work because it's activated, Edit Topology is activated, but there's a couple ways to kind of get out of your trouble spots. Or you can hit F, and that'll frame the whole thing, and you have to zoom back in. So you can toggle between F here. So we'll go back in there. And the reason I should have snapped it is because things like the horn are a little bit in there, so I do have to go in manually with W and just kind of move this stuff out where I want. So not a huge deal, but do project all next time. Then let's go ahead and finish this off really quickly. So now you're going to see this one goes down here, but now this one doesn't have anything to connect to. So you can either just triangulate it off and call it a day, or you can kind of bring this up and then triangulate it off here. Just kind of depends on what your silhouette dictates. And by silhouette, I just mean any place you put geometry, you just want to make sure that it's relevant to the silhouette. Otherwise, you're probably wasting geometry unless it's specifically just for like animation purposes. So for like around the knuckles, you need a little more geometry in case your creature makes a fist. And then make sure you hit Q to go back into draw mode once you're done moving stuff around with W. And sometimes it can get a little hard to see where these things are. If you want to, you can just toggle this into solo mode, and if you can kind of get your eyes to adjust to this view, you can just go in here and just play around with the geometry itself, if that's more your thing, and then go out of solo mode, hit A, and then double check your geometry here. Much better. So I get the horn built in. And then in this point, I would go through the exact same way I did in the earlier demo. To go around the eyes, the mouth, the nose, and then just connect it back up. I tap A. Just connect it back up with this geo here that I really don't care about, and let ZRemesher just handle the rest of it for me. If we want to go ahead and sew up his chest as well, go into Q mode here. I'm just going to drag points straight down. And if you ever go off, just go ahead and Alt, delete it, and then just start again, fresh. And now from this point, you can go through here and connect out. Make that geometry a little bit nicer than it was. Now this triangle right here I don't really like, so I'm actually going to just continue this one up and just put a triangle over here temporarily, and then I can go here and just move these in and then move these out. And then I'm going to put a point in the middle of those, hold down Alt, and now I don't have a weirdo triangle right in the middle of his body there. I mean, it probably wouldn't matter since that's not going to deform a whole lot, but it just looks gross. And then I can go through here and just kind of massage this geo placement.